If you're the type of musician who spend way too many evenings scrolling through endless keyboard options, worrying whether the next purchase will end up as a pricey paperweight, I get it. You don't want to drop cash on a stage piano that sounds great in the showroom but falls flat in a gig room or a home studio. The fear of buying the wrong thing is real, especially when you're balancing a budget, a touring schedule, and the need for reliability. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about whether the Nord Stage 4 Compact 73 key actually lives up to the hype for someone in your shoes. First off, the Nord Stage 4 Compact sits in a sweet spot that many gigging keyboardists crave. It's portable enough to fit in a standard flight case, yet it still packs a full-featured stage piano engine alongside a synth section. The key thing, pun intended, is the semi-weighted Waterfall triple Sens Keybed. In practice, that means the keys feel lighter than a true grandweight action, but they still give you a nice bite when you play fast runs or organ-style passages. I've tried it in 3 very different settings: a small venue club where I needed to switch from a piano ballad to a synth-driven funk groove in under 5 seconds, a home recording session where I was layering piano chords under a vocal track, and a rehearsal space where I was using it as a MIDI controller for Ableton. In each case the Keybed responded instantly, and the waterfall shape helped me avoid accidental key slips when I was moving between octaves. For players who split their time between piano and synth, that tactile balance can be a real time saver. Now, let's break down the sound side. Nord's reputation for piano sound generation is well deserved, and the Stage 4 doesn't disappoint. The piano engine is built on Nord's sampling technology, delivering a realistic resonance and natural decay that holds up when you crank the volume in a live mix. What's more, the dynamic compression feature automatically evens out the levels of your performance, so a soft touch won't get lost and a hard strike won't overwhelm the mix. I tested this during a live set at a coffeehouse, where the house PA had limited headroom. The built-in compression let me play with expressive nuance without having to constantly tweak the mixer. If you're a gigging player who hates pulling endless faders between songs, that little piece of automation can keep the focus on your playing rather than on the front-of-house engineer. The synth section is another hidden gem. It's not a massive modular beast, but it offers enough depth to craft classic analog-style pads, modern digital leads, and even experimental textures. In a recent rehearsal with a band that blends indie rock and electronic elements, I used the synth to layer a subtle arpeggiated background that sat perfectly under the guitars. Because the synth parameters are accessible on the front panel, I could tweak filter cutoff and resonance on the fly without diving into menus. That immediacy is a huge plus for performers who need to react to the energy of a room in real time. MIDI Control is where the Stage 4 Compact really earns its stage-ready badge. The unit ships with a full-size MIDI and /out through, plus USB Type-C connectivity that works with both Mac and PC. I hooked it up to a DAW for a live looping session, and the latency was negligible, practically zero. The ability to send and receive program change messages means you can integrate it into a larger rig, swapping presets on a digital mixer or triggering external hardware synths. For anyone who already uses a software ecosystem or wants to future-proof their setup, the MIDI implementation feels robust and flexible. So, who should actually consider buying the Nord Stage 4 Compact? If you're a professional or semi-professional keyboardist who regularly moves between piano, organ, and synth sounds in a live environment, this keyboard checks a lot of boxes. The Compact 73-key layout is ideal for touring musicians who need to keep gear weight down, yet still want enough range for most repertoire. It's also a solid choice for serious home studio players who want a reliable instrument that can double as a controller without buying 2 separate pieces of gear. The high rating 4.8 stars from 384 reviewers suggests that those who have taken the plunge are largely satisfied with the day-to-day experience. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to walk away. If you're a classical pianist who expects fully weighted, hammer action keys, the semi-weighted feel might feel too light, especially for nuanced dynamic control in a recital setting. Similarly, if you need the full 88-key stretch for complex orchestral arrangements, you'll find the 73-key layout a bit limiting. Budget-conscious beginners should also consider that Nord's price point sits in the premium tier. There are more affordable entry-level keyboards that can cover basic practice needs, though they won't deliver the same sound depth or on-the-fly flexibility. Lastly, if your workflow leans heavily on deep sound editing and you want to dive into every envelope and modulation parameter, you might find Nord's interface a bit more performance-oriented than studio-oriented. In terms of practical